Hi, this is Variety Cheneverts for Akashi Media Podcast Live. This segment is going to be a business segment. And there are a lot of businesses that are going through things with COVID, or there are businesses that are still in startup position. And there are businesses that have already been in existence, and you may and may not have this checklist. I like to make a checklist of things that I need whenever I start a business, because all businesses basically need this checklist. Whether you're an LLC, sole proprietor, corporation, it doesn't matter. But all businesses are different industries. They all work and function in a different way. You know, sometimes you have a staff, sometimes you don't have a staff. But, you have to protect yourself. Okay, so this is a list that I like to keep on hand that I made for myself. And because I always have a different industry that I work in all the time. But I just wanted to share this checklist with you all, because I felt that maybe it would be helpful to you. And I just want to give you a little bit of information today that could be helpful, because we already have a COVID, and then different parts of the country, again, we have people who are getting ready to go through the hurricane and the tropical problems. So there are catastrophe insurances that you can get that will give you an umbrella insurance, dealing with business interruption, so on and so forth. So this is just a basic list that I use for myself, and I have used for my clients in the past that I have worked with that have different businesses too. And I just basically give them this checklist, because sometimes they travel, sometimes they stay local, sometimes they do things national, so I just want to share this checklist with you. Okay? And this checklist, it could be for any business, industry. It may apply to you, it may not apply to you. Okay? A DBA, business license, associations, memberships, tax EIN numbers, and that could be internationally or here in the United States. Bank accounts, it could be USA and foreign. Retirement accounts, USA and foreign. Business registration at embassies in countries that you do business in. DUNS number, a Google phone number. Some people don't like Google, but you can still use Google as a backup for if you ever have a cell phone and you lose it or stolen, or if something happens with the phone lines dealing with the rain or anything. You can always use a Google telephone number as a backup number to receive your messages, to receive text messages, voicemail, still receive your calls, and it's free. Okay? P.O. boxes. Always get a P.O. box or P.O. box with a regular P.O. box at the USPS, at the post office, or you can get a mailing address as a virtual company, where you can use a mailing address at a business setup building. There are different form of ways to have a business address for your company, or you can have a registered agent who can assist that with you, or an attorney or a business manager, however you want to set it up. Your corporation articles. Some businesses need a holding company, a manufacturing company, or you need a license, a reseller's license. Different businesses need a reseller's license. An EPK kit, which is a PR kit, for different businesses that need to do business online and electronically. Lost key coverage, You may lose your keys to your business and you need a lost key coverage of type of insurance. Miscellaneous bonds, miscellaneous professional liability coverage, net protect, extortion insurance. Some people get sued and threatened in their business and so on and so forth. Maybe you may have a maid living in your house and they, tell your business. You may have security guards or bodyguards who may see things. You may hire personal assistants, people who may see things. They might threaten to retaliate in some type of way, maybe write a book about you, tell all books, or go to the papers, the news about your real lifestyle behind closed doors, things like that. Or, you had an affair or something and then they want to tell all and, stuff like that, and they demand money. It can be anyone. They can do that. And that's for extortion insurance, media insurance. People go to the press or something is written or said. You need media liability insurance, cyber insurance, dealing with things online, making purchases online, having a credit card business or accepting credit cards and the credit card is not been approved to be used, things of that nature for cyber insurance. You want an attorney trust account. You want to deal with attorney trust legal fees, which is considered to be fiduciary fees, dealing with court cases. You can always set up a trust account for an attorney, which is for an insurance policy. They might be able to pull it from that, dealing with lawsuits and things like that. Copyright forms that you may need if you need copyright forms for your business. Business insurance, business trust accounts, business life insurance to fund a trust account. A business life insurance can be used as well to pay off debts in case of death of yourself or in case death of a key person who was responsible for running your business. And sometimes businesses get business life insurances to carry on your business practices. This is different than actually having a personal life insurance. This is to have business life insurances to be able to pay off debts in the business, maybe deal with probate from the owner of the business, so on and so forth. It can handle maybe the heir part of the business. There are a lot of things that a business life insurance can be handled for, but basically it's mainly for the key person who runs the business. And that can help take care of a lot of expenses if you have employees and things and so forth like that, to keep the business going beyond your existence of becoming exempt to the business. And the business can be carried on. A lot of business like Walt Disney, so on and so forth, have been carried on because they have key people in place and they have things set up in a certain way for the business. It could be a foundation or whatever it may be. But they have people in place for that, and a lot of times there's a business life insurance could be probably in place for the protection of the business. Assets protection trust. Asset protection is for when you're dealing with a relationship, a marriage, live-in relationship, prenuptial agreements, postnuptial agreements, community, common law relationships. Now they call them domestic partner relationships. You can do things when you do write-up in relationships like that. However, you have to be careful how you write up agreements, because if you say something in an agreement and you are living contrary to that agreement, then it's not valid. And some agreements are only good for 5 years and they have to be renewed. Like prenuptial agreements usually have to be renewed after 5 years. And after 5 years, if it's not renewed, then you can, proceed with something different, a postnuptial or whatever the case may be. So if you say, oh, I live in this house with you, or and then we're supposed to just be co-parenting, but then you're living really as husband and wife and not a co-parenting relationship, like you're still really sleeping together and acting like husband and wife. You're in public saying you're husband and wife. You're saying on paper you're husband and wife when you're not really husband and wife. You're really living contrary to the agreement. So don't put things in writing if you're not going to live as that. Don't pretend to be married when you're not married, or if you're not going to get married. Don't say, I'm not ready for a relationship, I'm not ready to get married, and you're still buying $50 million carat diamonds and they're wearing it and saying, I'm still here and this and that. Things of that nature. Okay, workers' compensation, passport insurance in case you lose your passport somewhere, rental insurance, rental reimbursement, legal liability for leased or rental real property, crime pack insurance. Crime pack insurance is dealing with basically people who are in your business that you put in place as directors, agents, people who have access to your money. Some people get in their business status or get to a status in their own companies where they give people access to their bank accounts, their social security numbers, or they give people access to, a position in their business. They could be a personal assistant, it could be a manager, it could be an agent. There's different forms of positions that people can put people in control of their money, and then money comes up missing, and then they make business deals, and then they make business deals with people who are con artists, or they just taking the money out the account because you gave them the account number and the authority to be able to withdraw money out of the account. And then later on you'll say, oh, it's been mismanaged. Oh, it was my team that mismanaged my account, my management team that did this and did that. And then later on, they'll be gone, or the people they hired or claim to have hired or formed a business relationship with, supposedly for your behalf, have taken $20 million and they're gone and you can't find them. They disappeared off the earth. They had a fake name or something, and so on and so forth. And instead of being an owner of a business who have time to check on your business consistently, or you don't keep, people on their toes, and you don't pop up at your business, they don't know you're coming in, or the boss that's in place, that's at your business establishment, say, hey, the boss is coming in today. You guys need to make sure this place is looking good today. Woo, woo, woo. They're coming to check on this and that today and stuff like that. Or you're just a person that just takes someone's word for it and you just never check on anything, and, you're at the top, but you never see what's going on at the bottom or in the middle. So, and you get stuck in the middle. And some people like to get stuck in the middle. So, there are things that can take place with a business, and you just have to know how to deal with those things. And that's what crime insurance will be for. People that have control with being an access to, businesses and things like that, looking at accounts and things like that. And then sometimes you have a situation where the IRS will come in and say, okay, you owe taxes on this business and so on and so forth. You have to know how your business is formulated. Usually the owner does. But there are some people who really hire people to start up their business and just go find me a building, a location, so on and so forth for the business. And they do that, and you just don't know. You just take their word for it that you have a business started, so on and so forth. And sometimes a business can be at someone's condo, or it could be wherever, or it could be physical. It don't have to be non-physical, but it's really on you. You have to be an owner. Some owners are there every day to check on their business, to check on leases, receipts. They know the address. They have the keys to the property. They have the addresses, so on and so forth. No, not all business owners are people who will just let someone operate their business and they don't know where it's located. And it's also good to be a business owner who have skills, who can get a fingerprinting, can pass fingerprints, can get licenses, and so on and so forth. But there are people who do have a license, or securities license to do business practices with them. And usually people who, by law, in most states, in most countries, there might be some place that they don't need it, but usually a person who has a position to be able to go to someone else's bank account to practice business, to start up a business, so on and so forth, is supposed to have a securities license. A securities license is in place, and that person is a broker to be able to make deals on your behalf with your money. However you set up your contract, agreement, verbal, whatever it is. And they're supposed to, by law, have a securities license because you're taking someone's money from their account. That's securities. And they're supposed to have that in place. But some people don't need that. Some people trust people, know people for years, and they don't have to do anything. They just take their word for it. You're a good guy, good man, known you for years, whatever case may be. But when it's your own money, you could do what you want to do with your own money. A king answers to no one. A queen answers to no one. It's yours. You're the owner. That's if you're not. Some marriages, I can say one thing. Some marriages, you have to ask for permission. And in some instances, you can't do everything in your marriage without your spouse's consent. Like you can't buy real estate and sell it and be married. But some people do. And that's breaking the law. But still, because a marriage is a business. And to have a business marriage, you don't actually have to be married like I do. Husband and wife, marriage can be a business anyway. But however, when you are husband and wife, it is stipulated in contract that you are married. And if you lie and say, oh, we're not married, and oh, I got a divorce somewhere, you have to have proof of that divorce. And sometimes people do get a divorce somewhere else, like in a default, and they just say, oh, I didn't know where you were, I didn't know how to reach you, and then they try to get things finalized, and they go ahead and pursue business, maybe with someone else, a living girlfriend, or that person might commit fraud and do forgery, and say, they'll pay someone to come show up and say, hey, this is the person, woo woo. People do all kind of stuff all over the world. So you still need these type of insurances, but later on, if something like that does happen, you can always do a notary. You can always say that's not my signature and do a signature analysis. You can always get a court taping, transcript, court transcript, video, to see who was at the hearing at that time that something was supposed to have taken place, and see what was said, and to see what was said during that court proceeding. If it was dismissed, if the judge asked, where is that person? And are you such and such? If that person had an attorney, you might find out if they really served you papers and what address it was served at. Usually a judge will ask, when was the last time you talked to that person, saw that person? Sometimes people are advised to not communicate with people. Non-communication sometimes can work for your favor, sometimes can not work for your favor. Sometimes a judge, depending on your judge, you just never know where you're going to go, when you do business and have a judge or something, because you never know. A judge probably knew a person when they was young or knew the family. You just have to be careful how you do things. Some people form relationships with people at law like that. And there are a lot of memberships of businesses that have that type of thing going on where, they throw a sign up or something and hey, we part of this type of thing. People do that, but however, in most cases, people put it in a newspaper, at a place you don't even live, and say they're going to do this and do that by law. That doesn't really mean anything to you if you still haven't been sent that newspaper article too. Like they say, when you do a DBA, we're forming a name in a DBA. Same thing with getting a child, guardianships, or business or something. They put in the paper. Usually you're supposed to put in the paper where the person lives at, so they can read it and know about it. Doing it in another state and country that you have no existence in, that defeats the purpose of what really is going on. And that really is considered fraud, especially if you're doing it pro per without an attorney. But people take their chances, and there are people who may be advised to people, don't say anything, don't let them know, don't call them, don't text them, change your email, change your phone number, change your address, return their mail, so on and so forth. It can work for you, and sometimes it cannot work for you. But there are organizations like the IRS and stuff like that. They'll give you a chance to update your information, and their requests for it, update your information. Sometimes when you call, they say, is this your current information? Is there any changes that we need to make? Is this your phone number? Is this your address? Is this your email? And it's up to you to update that information. Make sure people are of age. Make sure people have a mental competent of being able to carry out business. Because a person is not supposed to do business or sign contracts if they don't have their mind right. So, and so therefore, if that happens, it's completely voided if they do not have their mind right. And a lot of people like to call people crazy and insane and have issues and things of that nature. And they like to pass on that type of gossip to people, whether it's real or not, but it has to be proven, clinically proven, that a person doesn't have their mind right. And sometimes when people do that, they do that for a financial gain, because there are people who never drink, who never did, drink, or they never smoke, or they never did drugs. And then you have some people that try to find loopholes to get you start drinking. Like, oh, it's your birthday, just have a few drinks. Anyway, you have to be careful of stuff like that, because sometimes people have hidden motives, because why a lot of people end up in situations where they lose their business, lose their families, or lose their, something, is because they started something that they've never done, and they get pushed into something that they've never done. And when you fall upon something like that, it's because people want to take away what you got. So, and to start a habit that you never had, or they know about the habit. Because a lot of times people try to find out what you're into. They try to find out what you're into. You know, what's your flavor? You know, what kind of girls he like? You know, this and that. So on and so forth. So they make sure they bring that to your plate. A distraction. When I was in school, in high school, and we used to have business classes, I was taught in business class that for men particularly, other companies who were seeking to attack you secretly, they bring a woman into your business to distract you. I learned that in business in high school. That's what our instructor used to teach us all the time. And that's what he used to tell the boys in class. They always bring some type of woman to be a distraction to you. She look a certain way. She's pretty. She got the body. She's flirtatious. You know, she caters to your ego. You know, and she call you Big Daddy, Boss Daddy, my hero. You know, all kind of stuff to be a distraction to you. Put on a pretty smile. You know, be docile. You know, she's not like your assertive wife at home or your assertive girlfriend at home. You know, who'll say and ask you a lot of questions about this and that. And you may think she's being assertive, you know, overreacting and so on and so forth. So, you know, there's a person who'll come along who's not like that. They'll give you what you want. They'll cater to your needs, won't be so assertive and aggressive. They'll say things in the way that you think things should be said. You know, they're not like your mama, you know, just telling it like it is. Or, you know, they're more, you know, stroking your hand and, you know, making you just feel like, you know, the dog needs to lay on his back and be stroked and his legs are up and he's just, you know, like, oh, fall in love or something, you know. That happens, you know, and that's what my teacher used to teach us in school in business class about having a distraction. Be careful about the distractions. Women, the same thing. You know, you can have a pretty boy show up. You know, nice looking, good looking guy, you know, smooth talker. You know, he can come in different forms. He can come in as the pastor type of guy, you know, the nurturing guy, and whatever the weakness is trying to find it and bullseye on that weakness. You know, whatever that weakness can be, that they feel they can get in and do what they need to do. That's what I was taught in high school. And was my teacher correct? Yeah, hell yeah, he's right. You know, because I see a lot of that. But then, you know, you have someone that's like me, have a significant other relationship that went that direction. And they, you know, I'm assertive, and my significant other always said, you know, sometimes I just don't understand you. Well, try to understand me then. Get to understand. Ask questions. You know. You know. So, but then there's someone who will come along and see what you have going on. And then all of a sudden, they want to be like you. You know, because I usually have my shit together. Pretty much. In a lot of ways. In some areas I may not. In a lot of ways I do. And I've pretty much been a person that a lot of people want to take what I got. So, but at the same time, when they see things in order, they look at the guy and they automatically think it's him that has it all together when it's really me behind him. you know. So, but he rides with it. You know, he'll ride with that and say, you know, yeah, baby, this all me, you know, woo, woo. You know, I built this up, woo, woo. You know, the money come here. Oh, wow, he balling, woo, woo, woo. But, you know, then they'll find a way to say, oh, this relationship is not going this direction, woo, 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 woo. When really you may have a understanding and an agreement that we're going to spend some time apart because I need to go over here and do some training. You're going over here to do some training, you know, and we both can't be here at the same time because this training is framing. This training that you're doing is over here is concrete or piping, and you're doing it over here on that side of the world because that's what they do and that's how they teach. I'm on this side of the world doing this and that, but we're still at the same level, you see. And then that person that you're working with has the license to get the business up and going, you see. So they use your license and what you have going on. You're verifiable and bona fiable to do business. So your significant other could be like my significant other can say, does your wife have a license? Or does your girlfriend or your fiance or whatever have a license? Oh, yeah. Okay, you have a copy of that? Oh, yes, I do. And they'll pull out the copy and show your shit. And they're showing this. They're not showing anything with who they sleeping with. You know, the playground. They're showing your shit. You know. So, okay, they're bona fide, okay, verified license, search, website, state, country, they in there, boom, you pop up. Your number, phone number, address pop up, okay, woo. Ever been such and such, nope, okay, cool, pass, okay, yeah, we can give this money up on this and that, you know. But then you have someone else that's just sitting there like, you know, they're enjoying the pleasure of it all. You know. So then, you know, you as a bona fide person, you know, you're doing your thing over here. And then suddenly, you know, you don't hear from that person. And they might not even be in communication with you because everyone's flying around the world now, having a good time, flying private jets and doing a good thing and woo. But you're still that person who's bona fide, who is the seed of the company. The key person who got it going on. Because if you go back and search and you see who is who, it's you. And then if you're not where you're supposed to be, then you know you need to modify that situation and put yourself where you need to be at. Simple. It's not always about who's prettier than you or who's more handsome than you. What matters is what's on document. And that's how I look at things. So, you can wear the ring all you want, but I know who I am. They know who I am, but you know how it is. Some people act like they forget people and who they are. So, as long as you know how the operation is supposed to go, and if it's done without your knowledge, and you find out, you know, there's always lawsuit, jail time, you know, so on and so forth, you know. Walk in and just say, this is me, my attorney, whoever else you need to bring along from your side and handle your business. You know, so on and so forth. It's not, you know, because people go on and say, hey, I didn't, you know where they were, or I heard something, their relative said something about this person becoming this and that, and this and that. And God forbid if people use the homeless stigma. There are a lot of. Did you see Tyler Perry movie called The Family That Prayed? And the mother was dealing with a homeless guy who had all the business knowledge and strategies and helped her become a millionaire. And he used to come meet with her from being on the streets to tell her what to do with the business and how to run the business. Then all the kids found out that she was a millionaire at the end, and it was the homeless guy that gave all the information on how to function the business. Yeah, that part. Never go on stigma. Just because people are standing there and saying they're part of the clique and woo don't mean that they got it all together like that person that they look at, that they see as that stigma, and they think, oh, okay, they, don't look like they got it together, and don't look like that lace wig is really, booming and popping like mine. And then everybody is like, oh, we in Fendi and woo, and this and that. Some people don't need Fendi. Because I don't wear name brand stuff. But I guarantee you, usually when I walk and I have on what I wear that I like, they be like, damn, them shoes are tight. Oh my God, I see people in their cars, honk. I love your shoes. They're, oh wow. I don't really tell where I shop, but yeah, they're like, wow, I love them shoes. I go places and, I might not, be the trophy looking wife type or whatever, to some people, depends. I have my days, I might, have on my glasses or, I usually dress down, but people that know me, usually, they know me. But usually, I just, compare just having a nice pair of jeans, pants or something or whatever. But usually sometimes when people see me and I go somewhere, I might have a nice bag, but it might not be a Chanel. It might not be a Louis Vuitton, but it's nice, I don't even buy Chanel, Louis Vuitton or Fendi. I don't buy any of that. I had a pair of Louis Vuitton boots before, though. They were really tight, long time ago. But I'm not really into that, type of world brand like that. But usually when I do wear something, people are like, oh my God, girl, where you get them shoes? I have male friends always trying to snatch my shoes off my feet. Like, give me them shoes, come on. Okay, well, give me a pair next time, order me some. Buy me a pair. It's usually like that, So, that's just how it is. Everyone is different, nice glasses and so on and so forth, I've had men really go to my closet before to see what kind of clothes I have. The only name brand I really bought is Gloria Vanderbilt, Anne Klein. I think, who else? Donna Karan. Someone like that, because they fit my curves. I'm a curvy woman. So their clothing fit my curves, and I feel their clothes are made for women with a booty. Basically, that's it. But other than that, I'm not really into brands like that, because I grew up with seamstress, so most of the women in my family knew how to sew. And I was also no exception, along with my male cousin. We all had the sewing machine set in front of us at some point in childhood. And I had the sewing machine set in front of me, I'd say about 4 or 5. And I had to learn how to sew a little bit. And where I'm from, as you know, Florence Ballard from the Supremes is my mother. I'm Nicole, her oldest child, her first child, but I have a change of name. I've been going by Variety for a long time, Variety Chenevert for a long time. However, our culture, is African, Asian, Indian, Native American, and all those cultures have some form of dealing with fabrics. Textiles, and when you have 15 kids, or 3 kids or 4 kids, and your husband work, or back then when you're a housewife, those women sold their children, made their children's clothing, so That's where I would get that from. And that's not something I really passed on to my daughter, though. But I'm going to. I'm going to get her a sewing machine and tell her, you know what? We used to sew back in the day and just learn to sew a little bit. We used to go to Joann Fabrics and get all kind of patterns, but if they just not really good with that, then you can always do a fashion courses and learn how to sew, for yourself. And not necessarily want to be a designer, but you want to make your own clothing. And most of the women in our family were seamstress and cosmetologists. At some point, they did that press and comb in the hair. For those that need their press and comb in the hair, that hot comb or whatever. Those were the main two things. And the boys, basically, they kept the shoes shine. Keeping your shoes shine and having a nice suit made, created by the wife or daughters or nieces or whatever. Case may be uncles, whatever. Whoever's really into it like that. And then your shoes are shined. Because where I grew up, back in the day, our shoes were shoes that we wore. You flip it over, and on the sole of the shoe, as well as the inside of the shoe, it would say man-made. That was back in the day when I was a kid. So, and they were pretty real fabrics. They had the needles and everything, There, like, I talk about Diana Ross sometimes. She used to sew, when she was pregnant with Rhonda, she would crochet her baby clothes, her booties and stuff, and her caps and everything. So her clothing were handmade by her mother. And I used to watch her crochet her clothing. And she loved to crochet. She keep that crochet needle next to her all day. And that yarn, that was her thing. And she still have it too. She still crochet to this day that I know of. I know when I came to California and I stayed with her briefly, she was in the bedroom in bed watching television. She loved reading the newspaper. She'd keep her newspaper next to her and her glasses and her crochet and that needle kit next to her basket. Every time I went to her house, she had that. So that was her thing. She'll break out that crochet needle in a minute. She loved to crochet something. Bed, And I have a stepmother that did the same thing. She liked to do designs and make carpets and rugs and put them up on the wall. Very unique women. Everyone is different. That's it. So, there are a lot of people that I grew up with, but I'm not going to get into that. I'm trying to stick into business. But on the business side of food, there are some women who can cook. I do have some family members that cook very well, and they cook from scratch. They really wasn't into the microwave foods. But some men do get married to women who are into the microwave foods. And then some men may have women that just couldn't cook, and that's the reason why they have a chef. Otherwise, you'll just be like some men that I really knew, really did have wives that would go get frozen chicken McNuggets and put them in the microwave, and that's dinner. Everything that was frozen was dinner, straight microwave. So some men go from having a wife that does it from scratch, everything, the gravy, everything, cornbread, everything from scratch, to another woman that might, say, hey, let's just go out and eat every day and like to have restaurant food every day. Or there's some who just say, hey, pop that can of string beans and, put it in the pot. And we make it work as if we just grew it. out the garden. But I grew up with garden women, that do things from the garden and stuff. So, but then again, men asked me today, I said, do you cook? No, I don't. I'll be honest with you, I don't cook. I do not cook. I cook for myself when I'm hungry. Most of the time, I'm a mobile business person. So I am myself stopping at restaurants and things like that to eat. And that's why I put on weight myself. And then again, I put on weight myself because I did go to the grocery store and did go buy food like that. And, make my own cornbread and stuff like that, greens and stuff like that. However, I cook for myself and I put that weight on, But then again, I do have male friends that cook themselves and I will eat their food, So no, I do not cook. I myself now today, I am a microwave type of person. And I don't cook. I haven't, because one, I have a daughter that's 34. She has her own household and family. So she does all the cooking for her family. And I don't do that anymore because I don't have a child to cook for. And I don't have, my significant other is not at home. He travels internationally and I travel. So he does a lot of eating at restaurants himself. But whenever we all get back together, then, hey, we'll throw the grill together and let it be. Every relationship is different, but, different strokes for different folks, right? Yeah. But anyway, I just wanted to share that information with you all. And I hope it's helpful. So, also there's legal liability for leased or rental real property, commercial general insurance, and also automobile insurance, and be personal or commercial as well. Some people have insurance for kidnapping. God forbid that you have to go through that. But some people have that when they high profile people, ransom insurance. They get that, but God forbid if, high profile would have to ever deal with anything like that. So that's the business list that I wanted to share with you all today. I talk so damn much. But anyway, I wanted to really share that with you. I hope that was funny to you, though, and you got a chance to laugh at some of that I did say. And that's what I wanted to share with you, that list that you're going to need. And also just know that there are insurances out there that you can get for catastrophe insurance, like when you're having a hurricane and all that. And, you want to get that type of insurance so, have an earthquake, a fire, it interrupts your business, so on and so forth. You want to make sure that you have things put in place for that you also take time to have all your important documents for your business to be scanned into a scanner. You want to put it into a USB, have it at different locations, get you a file, document file storage. And if you don't do a document file storage, you want to get a cloud for your business, for your documents, important documents, and you can encrypt them as well. And you want to, you can use apps such as Google Drive to scan documents and save important documents into. So you want to be able to do that for your business to make sure your important documents, you can always keep copies of those documents, and then you can always order online a lot of times certified copies of your documents, and make sure you have 2-3 certified original copies of your documents sent to you, and then you can scan them into a scanning scanner, or get a separate cell phone or separate tablet or separate laptop that you keep separate from your business, outside of your business, from your business. And you can always maintain those copies, receipts and everything, insurances, warranties, things of that nature you would like to keep separate from your business in case of a fire, or you can't go into the building and, maybe an earthquake or a tornado, something, and everything is just destroyed. And you want to make sure that you have document insurance to recover everything as well. So those are places you would like to keep it. So it's good to have a separate cell phone and put that cell phone somewhere else in a different storage area, or wherever you need to put it at, and a lock, or maybe some type of what do you call it? A safe, for your storage, or whatever, and have separate keys, another set of keys made, so on and so forth, and if you're a person that need keys all the time, sometimes it doesn't hurt to change your locks from time to time. If you get skeptical about things, sometimes you might want to do that, and stuff like that. So it's just things to do business protection for your company, and do that. But you really need insurance just about everything for your business. And business insurance is something that's needed just about for every aspect of your business. Documents, a key personnel, compensation, omissions and errors, breaking and entering, callback, recalls, slip and fall business. It's not slip and fall business, but slip and fall for, in case someone does slip and fall or whatever, media, everything, fiduciary, probate, insurance, medical, health, your business needs to be, when you form a business, you need assurance. That's the most important thing with being able to carry on your business, is having business insurance, travel insurance, everything, travel insurance, international insurance, everything for when you have your business in operation, because you just never know. And you rather be safe than sorry, and sometimes you can just get an umbrella insurance and have everything under an umbrella. But make sure you do a checklist of what your needs are and a walkthrough of your business, and you think about it. Sometimes people have wireless credit card machines. People can steal that. So you want to make sure you get insurance for all of that, because that will tie into cyber liability insurance and everything. And you just want to make sure that all of that is in place for you. Your health insurance and just everything. Insurance that work with you when you have the office and off-site. So if you take things from your office and you put it in storage, you want to make sure that you have an insurance plan that protects your business properties on site and off site, and then there's certain insurances that say we'll protect you at the storage, and then you might say, okay, we have things international, you might need to do things locally international for insurance, and then things here, and of course, if you're a person who like to travel, you would like to have your health insurance or accident insurance to cover you where you have airplane lifting. You make sure you be airplane lifted up to be taken up out of somewhere, a canyon, rocks, or whatever. Automobile insurance full liability, but you want to make sure that when you have insurance, you're not just covering the person in the other car, but you want to cover yourself and those that's in the vehicle with you. Because sometimes they'll say, oh, it's full coverage, but it's you thinking that it's covering not yourself, just them on the other vehicle. Why would you not want to cover yourself? You're important too. So you want to make sure that you're able to be pulled out, lifted up on the aircraft, flown somewhere else, so on and so forth, if that needs to be done, because that's important, because you are important. And if you're the main key person to your business and your family, you have to always put yourself first. Because a lot of people will say, hey, I put my children first. I put my family first. How can you do that when they depend on you? Because if they lose you, what do they do then? I lost my mother at 9 years old. What could I do? Nothing. I had a trust fund, but was it secure? No. People were able to dab into it. I was given money by my father, and I opened up a trust account, but I was only 9, 10 years old. No, I was 8 when I did that one. 8, 7, 8, yeah, 8. And my dad gave me money, and I thought I was a big girl to go to the bank and get an account open. But then they let other people come along, other adults come along and put their names on my account. So they were able to go into the account. So my account wasn't protected, even though it said it was a kiddie trust for a child. In my mind, I thought that the money would be there when I got 18. No, it wasn't. It was gone. I saw my own bank book, and when I saw my bank book and opened it up, I saw negative, withdrawal. So, no, it wasn't protected like that. So, you have to make sure that you have your business protected with a will, a trust fund, or a trust, living trust or whatever. Give names or whatever, videos or however you want to do it. But you can leave things there, but what can a child do? Even if you leave money, what can they do if they're going to go into the money and take over anyway? You have people in place that's going to take the money from them, then it's not going to be anything there. So don't even expect it. So you can't always say that you put your family first before you. You can't put your family first before you if they depend on you. Because if you have people that are there and your niece or sister or someone, and they have their own habits, they don't have the same habits that you had with taking care of business, which I really grew up with family members who didn't keep bank accounts. They had piggy banks. But then I had a piggy bank stolen before, but they went and picked it up and got it. But anything can happen, basically you just, if you're going to have a business, it's going to be a family business, you need to make sure your kids learn from the entry level of the business, how the business is ran from the beginning. You just can't start at the top and say, hey, you're the next CEO, and they don't know how to run the business. So you want them to know how to run a business like you. You want them to be able to have their licenses and things like that. Everyone has a license in the business and it's up on the wall. Inspections come for the business. Can I see your license? You want everyone to be able to have their license and everything in place. And pull it out, pocket form, wallet form, or up in the frame, or whatever the case may be. You want them to be able to have their licenses or permits or whatever they need, certificates of completion or whatever in place. Be able to pass fingerprints in place to carry on the business. That's how it's supposed to be done. But you cannot put them ahead of you if they don't know what to do. So, and that's it. It could be a hardship after that. Basically that's the checklist that I have to share with you all with dealing with business licensing and insurance. And so just make sure, wherever you live at, make sure if you living in an area that has earthquakes or forest fires or hurricanes, make sure you get the proper business insurance, home insurance, so on and so forth, to carry your business, and business loss insurance for finances. Your insurance can give you money to carry on and continue to, make things happen for you. And you're not so much affected by, the insurance. You have warranties. Make sure you get your warranties when you buy a product. You have your warranty, and you mail it off to the manufacturer and everything. And then if anything happens, theft, or it stops working, or it gets caught in some type of catastrophe, they might ship you a brand new one, So you want to make sure all of that equipment insurance and all of that is taken care of, from your equipment, your money, cyber liability, everything, and also it's always good as a business owner, you can buy a computer, but certain businesses require you to build your own computer. And that's something that I learned how to do. I'm in the business of media and media arts. I went to college for media arts. And when you're in the media arts field, we were taught to build our own computers from scratch. So, and that could be for any industry, So you make a checklist of what you need to be operational for your computer. Whatever you need your computer to do, you make a checklist for that, and you can have an actual computer built for you. And you could put in the parts, buy the shell of the computer, and you could design your own computer. However much data you need, whatever kind of camera you need, the space, however you need it, whatever you need. HDMI, 4, 5, 10 ports. If you need a 7-port USB port, however you need, Ethernet, whatever you need. You need it to be Wi-Fi. You need to have games in it. You need space, so much space for games, for photography, whatever you need for your computer. However you need your computer to operate and be functional for your business, it's good to build your own computer as well as actually going to a retail store and buying. If that retail store has what you need, then that's cool. If it doesn't, and you really need 8 terabytes in your computer, then you buy the 8 terabytes parts and have it installed and have someone to build it for you. Or if you went to media arts classes like I did and learned in college, then you can just buy those parts and make a checklist and buy the computer for you, because then you'll know if something is done, or if a computer is stolen, that's a specialty type of computer, and this computer will only be accessible to someone in that type of industry that you work in, which would be yourself. Because there are different type of things that can be worked and put inside of a computer. So you might want to consider that as well. Usually people are contracted to, and they have their own equipment as a contractor. And a lot of times contractors, they stay on top of things more than someone who is an employee. Because an employee works with the computers at the company. They don't per se bring their own equipment. They just use the equipment of the company. But if you're a contractor, independent contractor, then you have more of an advantage because you are obligated to have your own tools and equipment. And so when you have your own tools and equipment, then you can stay up to date on technology more so than someone who works at a company, because that company might not be as fast paced and moving as you are. They might later on and say, oh, we need to hire someone or find someone who knows how to work this and work that. We're looking for someone who knows, and you be that person because you stay up on top of things. And a lot of times independent contractors, we have to keep our licenses updated. We have to keep taking classes, whether they're on Zoom, online, in person, whatever. We have to stay updated. God forbid if you have a doctor that got a license 50 years ago and still have old equipment with a floppy disk or something like that, and they still working with something real ancient that you haven't seen, and you might think that's cool, and you might think that's unique. You still printing out with the paper form versus having a ultrasound, and you might think that's unique, like, oh, you still using the floppy disk, the video disc. You might think that's fascinating, but someone who's really on top look around and be like, oh my God, he on a floppy disk computer, he's old school for real, and the equipment is not up to date, and he don't even do ultrasound. Okay, that person might say, look at the license. He got that in 1968. It's 2021 going on 2022, and he ain't never had an update on nothing. That's on you. You make that call. General doctor. Okay, you've had that doctor since you was an infant, and you up in age. And he know your whole family. Yeah, and quite a few of them and died. Consider that. There's nothing wrong with dealing with people who update. I have an aunt that's been a nurse for 50 years. I can call her up, but I guarantee you she's at a facility that's updated, though. She knows what's going on, so, you have to be careful about those type of things. And, when you have a job that give you insurance, it's cool to have a job that give you insurance. However, if your medical health requires you to have certain surgeries and your insurance doesn't cover it, then you need to find the insurance that will. And you need to act as if you're an independent contractor for yourself and find an insurance that will cover it for you. And everything. Because some people have coverage and it's just basic. It's cool. But you might need a whole lot more than that. You know? Cause I do. I have insurance. I pay for my own insurance. I'm self-employed, you know. And I remember I went to the hospital one time, and I was in the I went into an emergency. And when I got there, people were crying in pain. They had been there a while. You like that? It's insurance. It's insurance. I got in there. They saw my insurance. I whipped it out, gave my name, gave my insurance. They saw the type of insurance I had, what my coverage was. I had coverage up to $7 million. Damn. I think I was in that emergency room no more than 15 minutes. They called my name, come on to the back, to the private wing. Okay. I came in to the other section of the hospital, television, dinner, bon appetit, and specialists. The specialist will be contacting him shortly, or specialists, plural, to come down to look at you and everything. And I wasn't the only one in the bon appetit wing of the hospital. You know, someone else was in there. A guy was in there. He was sitting up, had his dinner, had the television, recliner. You know, people were in there screaming. You know, so that was, that's how they treat you when you have great insurance. And the doctor said, okay, insurance coverage of $7 million. You already know. And they paid in full too. This requires specialists, not just anybody. So yeah, and the specialist came down, treated me, talked to me so nicely, like I was a queen. So you want to make sure you get the best of the best. And you come first. Because if your family and children depend on you, what they gonna do without you if it's not passed on to them? It's cool and everything. People get the Medicaid if they need to, but it only pays for so much. And then you got to go to a particular doctor. You got to have a particular frame, or some people can afford to pay cash. Depends. But when you have insurance and it's decent, choose a really good policy for yourself. Hey, let the money for insurance be something that you really consider well worth having. Because it's worth having great insurance. Roadside insurance, AAA, you name it. Get the best you can get. Whatever the best is, they got that line on the end, the third line. It's the third line. They got the longest checks, and it covers everything. That's what you get. Just don't assume that, I don't think I'm going to need that. You never know when you're going to need it. Do the longest checklist on that third line. Get it. Get it. Repair parts, whatever, You never know. I'm an auto dealer. As an auto dealer, you get wholesale parts for your vehicles. Hey, you might need it for your company. Wholesale parts. Take it to the repair shop. Buy the parts, some good mechanics put it on for you. Or just take it to the, might need to buy the parts and take it to the original manufacturer. But, you can get wholesale parts globally. And it's good to have insurance that works globally and a license that works for you globally. So, that's a part of being a business. As a business person, entrepreneur, find the best of the best. Because, we all can go to school. And people have told us in the past, go to school, get a good education or whatever, get good grades, and then find a good job. Well, jobs ain't in the business to last forever for you and to make you wealthy. Some may not, but they have their limits. Same thing with a business. You have partners, they can, how they vote on you. They can probably vote to, get rid of you or whatever. People might do that. But you want to make sure you have things intact. And you read things and you're that person that's called upon and how things are structured. Because there are people that try to steal from you and try to remodify and say that they're this and that. I found people stealing documents from me, and I'm a great investigator on my own self. You should be your greatest investigator of your own self, of investigator, because I found people who have left California and started a business in my business name in Philadelphia. And I catch up to them. So you got to be your greatest investigator. Because I know how I structure my business. I know what my business work say. And I'll contact everybody, internal revenue, taxes, and everything. And when you start getting calls, which is another form of crime, a cyber liability, and people start contacting you saying, hey, I can do this for you. I can give you a warranty for this. If you just give me your credit card, woo. You know not to talk to them, because if you have a BMW, Mercedes-Benz, you need to be in warranty with them. They have their own warranty. You can go straight to the dealership. You don't need to be dealing with somebody outside of state or whatever. Handle your business. People come along and try to be in business with people to try to do things on the side. You know not to do business like that. And don't talk to people on the phone, hang up on them. Because they're just trying to get over on you. And and a lot of times, businesses are changing now. People are purchasing things with Bitcoins and stuff now and everything. And cryptocurrency and everything now. So your business might even run on credit cards. You might be a cryptocurrency person. That might be how you handle your business transactions. So when you have someone contact you and they're talking about, Lynn, you got your credit card handy? Like, this person in the boondocks, they not even up on the ecosystem yet. Click. I did that to an aunt. And the aunt had someone reaching out to them about writing them a check. And when she started talking to me, I said, that sounds like somebody that just got out of jail or prison. We don't do checks like that no more. That sound like a convict. We into the digital mode. They on checks still. Who write checks these days? I don't know anyone who writes checks. Most people work on digital routing number systems, at least. People really don't do paper checks anymore. Unless they really have something that they're in business they need to do. But most people really do digital direct deposits these days. And you don't have to have a check to do that. You just have to have your account number and the numbers, and that's it. So everything is different these days now, So old school, new school. You can have a mixture of both, of the old school and new school of how to do business, because I won't throw out my VCR. I'll still have a VCR. I still have a laser disc. I'll still have a cassette. I still have all that. I'll go get me an 8-track too. I'll still have all that, because I like to see vintage and history. And it all can work at its own timeline, at its own time. And then those type of equipments can be converted into today's technology of digital. But at the same time, the sound and quality would be different. But however, you can still convert to MP3, MP4 in today's digital quality, So, as working in security myself, that I have worked in security, and working in audio, broadcasting, television, and everything. That could be very helpful to you. But anyway, this is Variety Chenevert for Akashi Media Podcast Live, and this is my business segment. And I hope I was able to give you a checklist that you were able to write down and help you with your company, and to be able to continue with your business, whether it's a small business, mid-sized business, a big corporation. You can still continue to function as a business with success, regardless. And a good business can operate with and without you. Remember that. Okay? So keep things in place and stay on top of everything as a business owner. Again, this is Variety Chenevert for Akashi Media Podcast Live. This is my business segment. Thank you for listening. Hi, this is Variety Chenevert for Akashi Media Podcast Live, giving you an update on our listenership. Joining us is number 59 and number 60, Ukraine and Ukraine. Thank you so much for joining Akashi Media Podcast Live. And also, I want to say thank you to Costa Rica. Thank you for joining Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Gabon, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Dominican Republic, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Puerto Rico, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you to Mozambique for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Romania, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Czech Republic, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Argentina, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Belgium, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Russia, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Kenya, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Portugal, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Algeria, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Peru, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Slovakia, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Canada, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, France, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Ireland, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Taiwan, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Brazil, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. In Brazil, you made us number 7 on the chart of podcasts. Thank you so much, Brazil. Thank you, Italy, for making us a listenership over there in Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Mexico, for listening to us in Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Singapore, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Russia, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Iran, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Malaysia, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Uganda, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Japan, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Germany, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Dominican Republic, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Ivory Coast, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Gabon, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Netherlands, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Sweden, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Benin, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Guatemala, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Morocco, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Saria, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Lebanon, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Ghana, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Nigeria, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Panama, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, France, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Philippines, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, China, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Spain, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Italy, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Canada, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, India, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Egypt, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. And America, thank you for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, Algeria, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you, United Kingdom, for listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. And I just want to make sure that all of you know that I am so glad that you are listening to Akashi Media Podcast Live. I try to give as much positive segments that I possibly can on my podcast, and I'm going to try to improve it every time that we have a podcast. And I truly, truly, truly appreciate you for listening to us, downloading us, and streaming us, letting me into your ears for listenership. Again, this is Variety Chenevert for Akashi Media Podcast Live. Thank you.
Fucking I'm out there grinding, my baby girl knew. My precious thing, she knew that there's nothing I wouldn't do. I know that money coming, I can feel it in my soul. Yeah, we be popping bottles from Josie to Lagos. I'm out here trying to get the rents and Nairas. Rents and the Nairas. Rents and the Nairas, you know. I'm out here getting rents and the Nairas. Rents and the Nairas. Popping bottles from Josie to Lagos, you know. If I do not kill you, probably get it, my dog. We
I'm
must.
out there grinding, my baby girl knew. My precious thing, she knew that there's nothing I wouldn't do. I know the money coming, I can feel it in my soul. Yeah, we be popping bottles from Josie to Lagos. I'm out there trying to get the rins and Iras. Rins and the Nairas. Rins and the Nairas, you know. I'm out there getting rins and the Nairas. Rins and the Nairas. Popping bottles from Josie to Lagos, you know.
Africa, stand up. It's your boy DJ Temples. East, west, north, south. We the future. Come on.
So yeah, we be popping bottles from Josie to Lagos. I'm out here trying to get the rins and Nairas. Rins and the Nairas. Rins and the Nairas, you know. I'm out here getting rins and the Nairas. Rins and the Nairas. Popping bottles from Josie to Lagos, you know.
Like a slave to the daylight. Bitches coming at you through the grapevine. Waste mine coming at me with a steak knife. What's beef? Beef is when you... Nah, forget it. That's not the vibe. You remind me of my Jeep. I wanna ride. I've been thinking about you every 21 days. It's kinda ironic 21 is your age. I needed somebody who could give me my space. Only God could judge me, put respect on my name. Singing my praises make me feel like a king. But you ain't afraid to put me back in my place when I get stuck in my ways. Hey. I can't get you out my mind. Oh baby, I need that water. Every time we say goodbye, I wish that I held you longer. Inside, harder, better, faster, stronger. Ups and sweet, my heart go fonder. That's right. Baby, I need your body, so touch. Give me good loving, give me your trust. You are my one and only. My supermodel. Where you go, I follow. Cross my heart and hope to die. We'll never be alone. You know color boys love harder. You can have inches, you can have fallers. Photoshop thickness. But if you ain't got a thick skin, you can't handle my aura. Battery dead with your phone, let me call her. Sleeping in the bed, I just pulled up in Sephora. Different time zone, I'm ahead. Spent my whole December check to go and clear my head. Big bread. Jabba was using Google to tell the Uber what he was thinking in Zulu before the driver turned around and said, bro, I speak really good English. I'm busy looking out the window thinking how you been. Ever since we met, we've been speaking every morning, every evening. It's ironic we don't know how to communicate. We just gotta turn on the volume, you gotta pray. These are the promises you gotta seal with a ring. I can't get you out my mind. Oh, baby. everlasting love. Tattoo, 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 invest your sweat and blood. You got the juice, we complement each other. I can't get you out my mind. Oh baby, I leave that border. Every time we say goodbye, I wish that I held you long inside. Harder, better, faster, strong. Options make my heart go fun. That's right, baby, I need your body, so touch. Give me good love and give me your trust. You are my one and only, my supermodel. Where you go, I follow. Cross my heart and hope to die, will never be alone.
This is Pussy Position. I'm control.
She got me feeling like the baddest motherfucker on the planet. Ooh yeah, strike a pose for the cameras. Cause we stadium status. Yeah, 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 yeah. And we the baddest team. Woo, woo, we the baddest team. Ah, yeah. And we the baddest team. Woo, we the baddest team. Ooh.
Tell me where you beat there. Tell me where you beat there. Club going up, Queens on the weekend. Prada shades on, haters can't see me. Niggas all up on me, need to take a deep breath. I be with the all-stars, living easy. Now we put the boy on, that's my teammate. Pull up with the whole squad, now we fleeking. Now I got your boyfriend in my DM.
Yeah, first lady like Obama, Michelle. Gunning for presidency, yeah, my body caught me a bag. So boo like it's set. Kala ki ko kota ke bako pa tebang bulen. Nakala ki ko lo pa so nakichita lidi champe. Cause we the baddest again. So narazama ko tena bara sola again. And but God is your only real representative. Just know you will never ever have a representative. Now so I spit like a labo fellow, then I make sure that I kill. Everybody on the other head can't speak. When it's time to battle, kibo ish can't seek. Bo ish can't jiga, they know can't fix. Now we the baddest team. Oh, and Bella Bella Tina, we don't sleep. No, you couldn't handle me, man. Even if I hit me with the touches, you already know the baddest shit.
The baddest motherfucker on the planet. Ooh yeah, strike a pose for the cameras. Cause we stadium status. Yeah, 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 yeah. And we the baddest team. Woo, woo, we the baddest team. Ah, yeah. And we the baddest team. Woo, we the baddest team.
Yeah, babe, calling me the baddest. Could give it up to the boy in a way he never had it. But he just my groupie, my mind is always on a classic. I'm talking them levels, but y'all ain't even trying to match it. Well, it doesn't look it, I'm doing this so no, I ain't looking for cosigns. Be jamming with G, you be getting high on them dope rhymes. My ex trying to reach me, but I ain't giving him no time. Oh, cute, he blinging on my phone like that hotline. Find me in business and getting the bookings on weekends. So we ain't got weekends or losing to ends, and then it all begins. That is his business to start an attraction. Woo, bébé, why don't you give me your bébé? Stop pas, tu sais que j'ai dit moi. J'arrête tous ces filles, ça, c'est pas difficile. Et si t'as pas toujours compris ça, n'en change pas des bits, et si la reine des lichons.
She got me feeling like the baddest motherfucker on the planet. Ooh yeah, strike a pose for the cameras. Cause we stadium status. Yeah, 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 yeah. And we the baddest team. Woo, woo, we the baddest team. Ah, yeah. And we the baddest team. Woo, we the baddest team.
But it's kinda queen the baddest. Fuck that. It's kinda queen of savage. Got these honeys feeling jealous. I'm about spending money, living lavish. Benjamins, Naris and Mandelas. Hustle mathematics. Got a call from Super Mega and I knew it was a must. The song without the queen, it would really be unjust. Haters can huff and puff, make a real big fuss. Hitting my future favorite films, still trying to adjust. This is the big leagues, big things poppin'. Me, I sit with big dogs, big things plotting. Cut checks and get to Snoop Dogg in the cockpit. Think you gonna run game on me? Oh, stop it. I'm so bad, make your girl feel uncomfortable. I don't care, man, I think that it's wonderful. I'm untouchable, so please don't even ask. Now burn her, baby, don't tell these niggas.
Yeah, I'm feeling like the baddest, yeah, motherfucker on the planet, baby.
Strike a pose for the cameras, cause we stadium status. Yeah, 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 yeah. And we the baddest team, woo, woo, we the baddest team. Ah, yeah. And we the baddest team, woo, we the baddest team. Woo.
Yo. real deal since 16. Baddest on the script, but I'm queening on the beat. Gigi LeMaine, I've been the boss chick to these lanes. I'm happening. Why you passive and unhappy and active? Kakulubu, attitude, pu'i anu. Ngenapi, velaku, zongshela ngeskuta. Better sharpen your flow before you challenge the ruler. Demigod flows, come around, she hallelujah. Ho op met geruchten, op met die luchten. Banana game bad, daddy boom when I split ya. Firebang yes, do it for the middies who can handle mad steep bills. This is what happens when you swim with piranhas, aka I want it all. Mix the China with the power, high school nerd then. But man, I love karma. Dala ninjalela and you saw it in
like baddest motherfucker on the planet. Ooh yeah, strike a pose for the cameras. Cause we stadium status. Yeah. And we the baddest team. Woo woo, we the baddest team. Ah yeah. And we the baddest team. Woo, we the baddest team. Woo.
Up to the time, them for no star burner ranking the original Nigerian Don Gargan riding through man I ride out at midnight without no curfew. Longside the one AK compass still is sure. This a robbery, the whole of them for no sound in this phone now. Time to get them guns and kick your door down. Niggas ain't running anymore now. Bang bang, everybody kiss the floor now. It's a all eyes on me. I see nobody. They come up now, freeze and I see the show. It's a robbery. 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 Robbery.
I'm trying to get this rap money in the rush. Tell her back it up for me when you see me in the club. Competition dead buried in the dust. I'm like the legendary Brenda Fuss. Still the bud. Once you get it, you never get enough. And you gon' need better credit to get ahead of us. We the power circle, coming to you live from the third world. Getting high off the purple. Hey, bitch, I'm on the top of my game. Black card rap star, look at my face. If you ain't fucking what you here for, I got a 7:30 shuttle to the airport, therefore. Twerk contest, I'm a nuisance. God bless, do it for the youth, then. I'm at the table with the bosses. You need to table up the losses.
It's for now. Time to get them guns and kick your door down. Niggas ain't running anymore now. Bang bang, everybody kiss the floor now. It's a all eyes on me. I see nobody. Stick 'em up now, freeze and I steal the show. It's a robbery.
So slow down, what's the hurry, boy? Chilling at the Grand, not touching fucking his mommy's boys. Pumping Elias for chubby mummies, you got it going on. Mufere refresha khosena wrong eye. Uskafa fatara ikutwa. And how we fasara itu, waka papara utu. And since vele xoxolas nyobela when ufuna ukuthola ufani, how booty soft, I'm ripping the buttons off. If money talks, I'm willing to shut up all night. Nothing lost, the shapatolas all night in the backseat, cause it went out. How I fast, how I fast, how I fast, how I fast.
And it's for now. Time to get them guns and kick your door down. Niggas ain't running anymore now. Bang bang, everybody kiss the floor now. It's a all eyes on me. I see nobody. Stick 'em up now, freeze and I steal the show. It's a robbery. Robbery, 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 robbery. Stick 'em up now, freeze and I steal the show.
Yeah, I got that, bruv. Thanks a lot, bruv. I appreciate that, you see it? Sweet bankala in the morning to rise me up, you see it? I like that. Well, you wanna chat to Les? Alright, dog. Yo, North God.
Hello?
You know it always come back down to the age. At this stage of the game, I let the champagne out the cage. I got a Jesus on my chain, a bunch of Grey Goose in my veins, a couple bad bitches from the States, skateboards on my bedroom wall. I had to take it back to the North 94. Dollies on my penthouse floor, now it's all white parties on the stretched out lawn. North. these streets is cold. You on the outside smoking sticks and stones. I'm all about mine like Patrice's gold. And I ain't gon' stop till I reach my goal. Leak news on the iPad, previews on the Snapchat, cause it's popping off like a magic boy. Alright, right about now I wanna bring everybody's club status right back down to the ground level. Big shout out to Pink Cadillacs, Russell the Love Muscle, Boogie Harry, R.I.P. Eldo, Mr. Husu, Glanche Kwane, Shibaba Shibabu, and of course we can't forget Kick-Ass Kenny May Street, cause now we in the mainstream. Now fuck with the A-Team. We out.
Hey yo, Burr. Hey yo, Burr. Hey yo, Burr.
Ragga, 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 ragga. Ragga, 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 ragga. Ragga, 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 ragga. Ragga, 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 ragga. Bad man, no waster. Uniform with no waste. Snapchat, no fiesta. Ragga, 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 ragga. Ragga, 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 ragga. Ragga, 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 ragga.
Ragga, 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 ragga. Ragga, 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 ragga. Bad girl, no waste time. We no fuck, we no waste, man. Snapchat, no FaceTime. Ragga, 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 ragga. Ragga, 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 ragga. Ragga, 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 ragga.
Ragga, 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 ragga. Batman, roll up a ganja. Rockstar, know the rust. Let me continue the saga. Young nigga on the cover. My nigga, I'm on the road. Blue rims on the Honda. Up in the trap in the road. They know I'm coming like karma. Zaga, 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 zaga. Came here for the koalas. No time for no drama. Shabba, 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 shabba. Dreadlocks, no barber. Batman, real life shotter. Fuck around and get popped up. She wanna roll with the bagger. I'm the original dada. Swipe, no cash. Hennessy, no dash. Blow it, money fast. I get paid and I'm fast. Ragga, 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 ragga. Family tree up in this motherfucker. Ragga, 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 ragga. Ragga, 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 ragga. Bad man, no waster. Uniform with no waste. Snapchat, no fiesta. Ragga, 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 ragga. Ragga, 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 ragga. Ragga, 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 ragga.
Ragga, 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 ragga. Ragga, 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 ragga. Bad girl, no waste time. We no fuck, we no waste, man. Snapchat, no FaceTime. Ragga, 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 ragga. Ragga, 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 ragga.
Like this.
Ragga, 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 ragga.
Ragga, 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 ragga. I just got a key from the plaga. My niggas is Real Madrid. You niggas is more like Malaga. We spilling champagne like it's lager. The honey you wanted, I got her. I hit it and don't even call her. She only wanna eat wallet. Her name is whatchamacallit. She call you whatchamahoo. You talking that I wanna wife you. She call that hella balloon. These bitches is fucking for 10 G's. She lucky she got it, I'm stingy. But she remind me of Tambi. I told her to jump on my Sandies. Ragga, 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 ragga. Ragga, 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 shit. Ragga, 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 don't tell. Niggas should hang on my coattails. Niggas is snitching, they all tell. I got your girl at the hotel.
Ragga, 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 ragga. Ragga, 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 ragga. Bad man, no waster. Uniform with no waste. Snapchat, no fiesta. Ragga, 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 ragga. Ragga, 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 ragga. Ragga, 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 ragga.
Ragga, 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 ragga. Ragga, 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 ragga. Bad girl, no waste time. We no fuck, we no waste, man. Snapchat, no FaceTime. Ragga, 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 ragga. Ragga, 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 ragga. Ragga, 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 ragga. Ragga, 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 ragga. I'm a boss, call me bragga. Rap queen, ain't no better. I do not listen to chatter. Heavyweight without paper. Bust a shot in your section. Should've known it's hot era. Popping bottle, no myth.
Yeah, ragga, 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 ragga. Family tree up in this motherfucker. Lotle mo leading dona yana zaga ronare ma khwara 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 khwara. Fresh out the plane from the United States, I'm smelling like jala 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 jala. Never hesitate to pay me my money, my nigga. Fuck. I know y'all be hating on me on the cover, but nobody's ever had a better come up. I'm in the street hustling until the summer. I'm good to already got the summer cover, so y'all niggas ain't gotta put out no music. My old shit inspired your new shit. My closet is full of exclusives. You never catch me in Kaduchi, maybe Gucci. Rockin' extra rezo in the Benzo. Get the picture, nigga, that's the Lenzo. So you ballin', but you gotta land up. I don't understand, I don't get it. I'm about my business, every single sentence sounded different. When they listen, I'm the realest shit is always living. When I'm in the pit, where my fucking niggas is ragga.
Ragga, 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 ragga. Ragga, 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 ragga. Bad man, no waster. Don't fuck with no waste, man. Snapchat, no fiesta. Ragga, 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 ragga. Ragga, 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 ragga. Ragga, 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 ragga.
Ragga, 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 ragga. Ragga, 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 ragga. Bad girl, no waste time. We no fuck with no waste, man. Snapchat, no FaceTime. Ragga, 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 ragga. Ragga, 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 ragga. What about KBZ? Where's my YBM? Y'all ain't landing on the truck. Ooh. Baby, see you get more money. Enjoy that big money, think that Mr. Bentley。300多万大人都玩具，You can't believe。深空点火的副巧克力般丝滑，牛逼话让我的后背无法自拔。Mr. Bentley， 连个蓝牙系统俺们与众不同，因为他们不懂，我们都爱花钱但不收藏古董。西装暴徒走个路都带个缝，幻想变成我，你做白日梦。私人车位独享总归 flexing， 赚的钱刚好够花很开心。Drip， 那么年轻那么 rich， 我 talking business， 你在 talking that shit。Mr. enjoying that money，rich is the key， 比你 important 的 better than AMG。Racks on racks，I don't drive a Maybach， 我从V6 V8一直开到 V12， 根本数不完多少开始在口袋。我比 rich forever， 先发布 no care。Enjoy that big money， 盯在 Mr. Bentley。300多万大人都玩具，You can't believe。深空点火的副巧克力般丝滑，牛逼话让我的后背无法自拔。Mr. Bentley， 连个蓝牙系统俺们与众不同，因为他们不懂，我们都爱花钱但不收藏古董。你的钥匙按起来会啾啾，我的钥匙按起来会哔。昨天可以按摩我好舒服，只要寂寞追不上我领兵 never孤独。89天再带我去看展览，上海是装修走台的冉冉，兰博基尼的尾巴好像那电影炮，超了他我露出100万级别的微笑。Enjoy that big money， 盯在 Mr. Bentley，300多万大人都玩具，You can't believe。深空点火的副巧克力般丝滑，牛逼话让我的后背无法自拔。Mr. Bentley， 连个蓝牙系统俺们与众不同，因为他们不懂，我们都爱花钱但不收藏古董。Baby, see you get more money.